Welcome to Hashtime with Navigator. This is a place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, emotional well-being, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you're hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I'm your host, Navigator, and I cannot wait to engage with you in the various conversations. So when I walked into the MCI Media Hub, I said to myself, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not leaving. For over a year now, I've interacted with a brilliant team under the Media Challenge initiative, and I've learned from them that a good CEO is not just a leader, but they are also a visionary navigator who guides their team through uncharted waters, embraces challenges as opportunities, and fosters a culture of innovation that propels both the organization and its people towards excellence. And today, get excited for me. I am in conversation with Abaas Mpindi, and this episode is a tribute to dreamers, entrepreneurs, leaders, innovators, and yes, even those not deep in business because, well, tales of triumph, failures, and building unbreakable paths resonate with us all. Let's dive into the conversation. Hi, Abaas.
Hi, Nabuguzi.
Hey, you have taken long. You've taken long on the name like
I
you.
I have to get the name right. It's identity, my friend.
There are people that struggle with it. Some people that aren't Ugandans, so I don't know how you identify
even
this morning.
Ugandans have different accents from different tribal upbringing languages. So to get a certain Luganda words right can take quite a mouthful. Like you have to Nabuguzi.
No, it's not like that.
So,
the way how you're twisting the lips, that's not how it's done.
Some people will, depending where you come from.
What did 10-year-old Abaas look like? Before we actually go there, because I'm saying Abaas, people will be like, no, who is Abaas?
So, roll it back.
Yeah, roll back.
An official intro. And
roll back, yes.
Okay. I was worried a bit. Like, they don't give me any intro. But what are we doing here? What kind of podcast is this where they don't introduce the guest?
They just grab you.
Officially, we're live now. Yeah. Please, introduce me.
Abaas, I don't know so much about you. The only thing I know is your two names, Abaas Mpindi, and the co-founder of the Media Challenge Initiative. So that's all I know. I don't know how.
That's pretty much it.
You have the best bio of yourself than I do.
That's the bio.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Very limited edition. Yes.
Sounds pretty boring if that's all.
The real juice is in the detail.
Okay.
Of those few things that make up the bio. But
what did 10-year-old Abaas look like?
Very stubborn or born a star. That's what they say, are you stubborn or you're born a star?
Is it?
So if you're a parent, you can choose to say your child is stubborn and go negative. Or you can choose to say, my child is born a star.
I had never heard of that
so
side
then
of
it's
it.
like the other way of looking at the word system. So I was born a star. I grew up with a single mom, so she gave me a lot of attention in terms of making sure that I don't lack anything. So I was the kid that had, those matching suits and matching, sports outfits.
Yeah.
And would just stand out amongst, the other kids. One of those kids where everyone in the village is like, yes, Mama Abaas, can we go with him to games? Or I was also cute, I think. So they say.
I didn't foresee that.
They say that as a baby I was really cute. So
Do you feel cute right now?
I feel enough.
You are enough.
I feel just enough. I don't know. Cute applies anymore. But they say that when I was a kid, I just like was like this very dark-skinned, very cute kid that everyone wanted to play with or take to church, especially like people who didn't have kids yet. So
yeah,
I enjoyed.
They borrowed you.
Yeah, they would borrow me. Like, Mom, I mean, thinking about it now, she could have just made a lot of money just renting me out for showcasing to,
oh my God.
yeah, but I did attend a lot of events and things based on like weddings and just showing up like that. And I was also very creative in terms of just the things I love to do and play with other people. I was told now that I led a lot of like those weird games of mom and dad, and I always like wanted to be the dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So which I think when I think about it now is how you get back to your story of leadership and where some of these things start. I was also very interested in reading. 10-year-old me. Why? The reason is because my granny didn't read or write, so she wanted to enjoy what would be happening in the world through newspapers and through books. So she would ask me to read and translate for her in Rutoro. And I found myself learning a lot about, at a certain point, I could name the presidents of the world by country and things that would be happening. I could literally, because I would read a lot of like old newspapers for her.
Wow, you could go as far as the old newspapers.
Because they were not really new. So, my uncle would travel from Kampala to Fort Portal and he would carry like old newspapers.
Wow.
So then I would just read and translate for my granny. And you could see that she would at least get to know what's happening out there in the world. But what would happen after that is me going to school to tell the other boys
what is happening in the world,
everything that's going on out there. And found myself really learning a lot about geography and history and current affairs, which I miss most because now, if you ask me the presidents of the world, I can be very sure that I will struggle to mention beyond Uganda.
There is one only.
as always.
I was going to ask you if journalism has been something of your interest. When you were reading these newspapers for your grandmother, did you feel like, I also want to tell a story?
So actually, that's where it starts from. My love for journalism is really the relationship I had with my granny. Because it's either switch the radio on for me at around 7 p.m. or midday or in the morning for her to listen to news. Or can you read that newspaper story for me? And every time, that interaction for me was just very revealing about journalism and the power of media. Because every time I would tell her a story, I could see a sudden spark or change in her eyes, like, oh, okay. And for me, that was the beginning of like testifying to my other friends, like I want to be a radio or TV presenter or a journalist. And in the village where I grew up from, I'm sure like the guys would just say, never, radio, you, never.
What did they think that you would be?
Nothing.
Oh dear.
No, they pretty much thought I would be a football player because I was really good at like dribbling the whole village down. Beyond that, nothing. I mean, like boys and whoever children you're playing with, I don't think they see beyond what you would become. But if I would just say I would do this, people would be like, oh, okay. But I think what is interesting from before I even tell you more about love for journalism is that, so at one point we stayed in in Fort Portal in town. Then we moved to the village called Chiboha. There was a transition where, like you've been in a trading center kind of setting.
Yeah.
Kids have shoes. You can see cars, to a place where you rarely see a vehicle. So if kids were to see this car moving, they would just run after. Good experience. And here I am, like transitioning from to this community. Great. And I had now to for me, it was very amazing to see like a 10-year-old or 7-year-old rearing cows, or like taking cows to feed them, to graze. And that was amazing. So I created a bond with those boys. And every time they would look for me, they would know I've just run away and I'm trying to be near these cows. And so those friends, one time we saw a plane up in the sky, and I said, one day,
I'm going to be the one flying
on a plane. And I remember John was the guy who was like, never. John had, like that typical, no, I'll not talk about that. John will be very unhappy. But anyways.
Yeah. Has John seen you flying?
So that's the thing that is coming too. So the first time I took a flight, I had my cousin tell John, like, hey.
Oh dear.
Abaas was on a plane. John, I don't know if he was happy for me or not. But I say that to also share, like, same thing with journalism. I did mention many times to people that I grew up with, like, this is the space I want to work in. My love for my granny and her love for knowledge pushed me into this space. As I would move on, I would later find myself in the journalism landscape, not directly producing content as a journalist, but I also realized again that I think at the university, after university, I realized, yes, I want to be on the screen, but I think my strength and my superpower is being at the back, or leading change and creating platforms for young people. Again, I can take that back to my upbringing, because Granny was like open home, and the way she created platforms for kids, no matter where they came from, is testament of like open space for me. She would say, give to all, because you don't know who you will have or who your kids will become, or who they will meet, right? So that, for me, that was the open door policy sort of like mentality to create platforms for everyone to thrive. And those two things, one, creating platforms, and two, love for journalism. Finally, we created a very huge bond that now can be seen in Media Challenge Initiative, the work that we do with the fellowship program, the MCI Radio, Newsroom, Solutions Now Africa, and just like really the work that and the space as a hub.
Debunk
everyone.
I think that's the first thing that struck me. I was like, debunk.
Navigator.
Oh.
Hashtag.
Yes, please. Hashtag with Navguzichwank is usually sponsored.
Proudly sponsored
by Media Challenge Initiative. I was actually going to ask you, hey, my dear, why are we fighting now? I was going to ask you what inspired the inception of the Media Challenge Initiative, but you've already given us the background, your love for leading change and creating platforms for every other person. Should we be looking at you as the lead person that started, talking to the other friends that felt like they could join in and create this great foundation?
Yeah, so I was like, I have all these, the things that I've just shared with you is like history, right? And as you grow up, you've already been set by certain forces that this is who you are, these are your interests. You might be directly working upon those interests or not, but I believe in the law of attraction. It aligns you with certain people, certain experiences, some of those experiences negative, others positive, and then depends how you react towards those experiences. In my case, I was doing my diploma in journalism at UNCAD, and I went to ask for an internship, and I didn't go beyond the door because very fine security lady just said, what are you looking for? I said, internship. And she goes, well, do you know anyone there? And I'm like, no. But I have all the recommendations from the universities. And she said, I don't think you get it. You need to know someone.
Ouch.
And for me, that was it. So I walked back. I was like, okay, well, I could have stayed. I could have insisted. I could have. But as a student, you think about it. A lot of us, when you're still at the uni, you don't really have that confidence to push. So anyway, I walk back. As I'm heading back, I'm thinking, wow, how many other young people show up here every day?
Oh, yeah? You thought about it?
Yeah. So, and I said to myself, there has to be a way to reverse nepotism. Right. And I said, if I get 100 youngsters who are good with, let's say, radio presentation or podcast production now, and I surround those with a media manager, that media manager is going to have a pool of talent that they will struggle to choose people they know based on relationships, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I went back to school. Simon, my friend Simon, Antonio, and Ivan, and other people were like around 16.
16?
16 people in the Guild Council.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, they were doing a cultural gala, uni cultural gala, and I said, let's add like a news anchoring competition of a sort. Wow. And we added it. And some people were like, no, it's going to be boring. Finally, we agreed, we put it in. It was amazing. And so I accelerated the concept, and we started the first ever Bale Francis news anchoring competition.
What is that like? Is it to read like him?
No.
What is
never, ever read like never. Not anywhere near to that legend.
What is that like?
So anyways, the idea was an inter-university media competition, news anchoring and reporting competition.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of Bale Francis was to get a brand name for it. Because he's been there and he's inspired all of us. And by then he was also one of the lecturers. So we went to him and said, hey Mzee, here's the idea. He said, well, kirabika leero emitwe gikola. So yeah, I'm saying we are ready. Okay, fine. But one condition.
Yeah.
Don't expect me to find money for you. Or don't... Well, like for sure, that's not any of our expectations. So that's how we started the inter-university media competition. Students would just like universities sign up and they register a team and we give them the assignment, which is to produce a news bulletin of 12 minutes. On the D-Day, we invite the panel of judges. They come and just watch you perform. They give you points. My whole space was bring as many people in one space as you can. Let them witness what talent young people have. Mm-hmm. The first event in 2012 was horrible.
2012?
Everything, we had a budget of 99 million. We got only 300,000 Uganda shillings. We continued anyways.
That's not even a quarter.
No, not anyway. It was just like, all right, you have a good idea.
That's a huge dream, 99 million.
Yeah, some people would, I think, look at us and be like, 90?
I know, right?
You? Have you ever even had 1M? Get out of here.
Yeah.
But we managed to pull it off, like beyond. The vision was there, but the logistics to pull off
right.
We didn't have it. So, long story short, there has like a very disorganized event, but it served the purpose. Mm-hmm. Like the media and students came together, and for me, 3 months down the road, I would meet people who would say, we were in the competition and we got internship. We were in the competition we got a job.
Is that so?
Yes. And for me, that was like, even after the event, I had sworn to like, this is not something I want to do again. It was a bad experience for me. Within spaces of like 2 to 3 months after the event,
people were giving you that kind of
yes,
feedback. That's a huge impact.
And I was meeting people who were saying, can we do this again?
Wow.
But these were students who were not very happy with the way the event like was turned out anyways, which is expected.
Yeah.
And the moment I got feedback from students that said, yes, it works, then I said, okay, then it works, right? Okay, let's do it. Yeah. So we started to organize every year. And now we're here.
Yes. You even have podcasts.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yes, please. Besides the money challenges, what other challenges could you have had as the person or the people that were starting up this intermediate? What?
The Inter-University Media Challenge.
Inter-University Media Challenge. Before jumping to this whole MCI.
Money, of course, but I think we don't have a culture that believes in young people.
Right.
We are getting there, but I think like the traditional setup didn't have, I don't know. We lacked support. We lacked even just like the idea of people to show us, And for me, that's one of the reasons why I love what I'm doing right now, because people need someone who can feedback or who can listen to their idea. We moved in many places and people would just be like, and some people would be like, oh, I've tried to do that before. It didn't work. And because I was young also, you would go to the universities where people would be like, don't waste our time. Like, where are you from?
Right.
So that doubt and lack of like support or lack of even just validation of like amazing, what the heck, you have a great idea. For me, that was deeper pain than even like the lack of money.
Yeah.
Because it starts from a system recognizing like, oh, we have space or systems, we need systems in place that are validate young people's ideas and accelerate them in a systemic way to say this is where this could go in the next. Because when we were doing this, at the beginning, I don't think we ever imagined ourselves being this influential in the ecosystem. If at that point we had someone or people, I'm not saying there were people who, but if you're out of 10, you have like 2 people. Those become your bright spot, and you can hold on to them and keep getting their feedback. But imagine if, we had a system in that place in time that was to say, wow, this is a grand idea for the media industry. Let's all of us, sometimes because of, weird competition, one media house would say, I won't work with you because we've seen that you have a logo of the other media house. I understand the business, but we're talking about grooming the next generation of journalists, which is going to end up in all these, spaces. So that was a big challenge for me.
And what are the best achievements that you feel like, oh my God, like do you sit in your bed? So you just say, like, you sit back in your bed and be like, hey man,
yeah,
I also fear myself.
Indeed. Every day. Yes.
Hey.
I fear myself. We managed to build like an internationally recognized brand.
Right.
From just like, so at the beginning, people be like, Media Challenge Initiative, what's that?
Yeah.
And now people globally say, there's a very good model of youth journalism in Uganda.
Right.
That has been documented, that has been covered by international media platforms, all originating from the sweat of, of our work here. For me, that's a huge plus. We were 16 or 20
for the start,
because we were all like excited about this event. By the time we were registering, we were 5.
Wow.
The 5th person also went into other things. We stayed 4.
Yeah.
Now we're back to 20 plus.
Oh, okay. That part. Okay.
In terms of like the people who work every day here.
Yeah.
And then the Media Hub as a space, which is also a huge achievement, being able to curate a space that allows media innovators to convene, to incubate, to accelerate their ideas.
Yeah.
Can have, 40 to 50 people working every day. Now, that seems like just a number. But those are really stories, they are dreams, they are ideas that will change the future.
There are validations.
Yeah, there are validations every day, people working.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I say Ndiwaka is that I've turned into some sort of like therapist. Not in a, like, I'm proud of it, but I think also it's just like I've grown up grooming an instinct of listening, journeying, and processing with others. Right? So before we thought we were just a skilling program, come and learn how to edit, come and learn how to produce radio. But over time you realize that you're dealing with a wholesome person and they carry certain issues, challenges from years and years, from generations back. And they're still dealing with them and they process with them. And those become a huge barrier to their growth and learning and existing and thriving. So I spend a good amount of my time just sitting down to listen.
Right.
Sometimes I have answers. Sometimes I don't have any answer. But it's just to acknowledge, like, I'm here, I'm listening, I don't have answers for you, but you need someone right now, and I'm here. So for me, that's and of course, also getting those values and throwing them into the community so that it's not just me. So I didn't want to run another hub or co-working space that just like, these nerds that sit in their corners and just typing away their things. Yeah. I am more interested in community building. So, and that started from like personal values of like, are we our own brothers and sisters keeper? Are we creating a space that allows people to just come in and feel different and not feel like we're another office?
Yeah.
So that they feel like, oh, I know that person, I know that person. Like, oh, I've seen you be like, and I've seen that. Our fellowship program has components in it that allows people to open up certain layers inside of them and know they are more than just reporters and journalists, and they can be there for each other. So, yeah.
When we're I respect you, and I'm here to validate that part of you being a wakabi. When we're having that media and mental health conversation, and people spoke about you as being one of their safe spaces. I don't know if you noticed, but I looked like I almost wanted to get off the panel and shake your hand.
You should have in real time. That's what makes, you a powerful host. Get up.
I'll be like, I don't call that one again. She leaves. She just leaves the panel.
Those are the people we want here. Who don't care about decorum. They just...
Yeah, but I really did find it powerful because I had a conversation on mental health with my boss. And the perception, the preconceived idea of our conversation made me go to him armed, ready to, because he's really my senior, and I just thought he was going to dismiss everything. And then he just said, hey, why do you think there are days when I just walk away and don't return? And I was like, oh my God, that is powerful. So if you're creating this space of people with people that can, see a human being in themselves, where they can open up the layers that, they have to get rid of, let go of maybe. I love it.
Thank you.
Asante.
Me too. I love it.
What strategies or approaches do you employ to keep the Media Challenge initiative relevant?
It's really like the systems change approach, that the idea of media and journalism being just a profession very independent, and us traditionally being considered as reporters of events, created an environment where they just call you to report and that's it. I want to change that. I think journalists must be included in each and every programming, in each and every issue from the beginning to end. Because we report, we are like the custodian of information. So we get that information, process it, break it down and simplify it for the common person. For me, I want now a journalist that I call a one man, one woman. I'm a journalist who is skilled as a journalist with all the relevant professional skills. They are also very ethical as well. But most importantly, they are aware of their systemic challenges. Mm-hmm. And they know that their work is to change those communities through the stories that they are doing. And so that's why my work slogan is journalism can make the world a better place. Yeah. And this slogan is it's not a slogan, it's a belief.
Beliefs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I use it to challenge young journalists to think about journalism beyond journalism and the impact it has. So the story can make someone smile. The story can hold someone accountable. The story can lead to policy change. The story can, mobilize communities to act. The story can inform a young person about something new. The story can change narratives. Yeah. So for me, it's these stories are very powerful, and we need to be able to work with young storytellers to know that it may be just a poem to you. Mm-hmm. But to the people that are going to try to interpret that poem, it's fused with a lot of interpretations for them. Yeah. So for me, it's important that we understand that media is very core to each and everything that we do. And mm-hmm. the media can break the society, especially if we use it as a tool to destroy, or it could make the world a better place if us, the people behind these microphones, use it to uplift communities, to uplift others, to showcase positive and working narratives, to ensure that people can do something about their situation based on the stories they've had. So I always say, news is good. Yeah. It's good for me to know the news, but it's more important for me to have ideas and power to do something about the news
that part.
But if I can't do anything, then I am hopeless. And mm-hmm, that's why mm-hmm. the media has lost a lot of trust, because people say the news makes me hopeless. It makes me feel like
I'm raising my hand. People have been asking like for video.
It makes people feel like there's nothing they can do about the situation.
Right.
Because also over very many years, it's always been the negative portrayal of the world. And that's not the whole world. Mm-hmm. That's just part of the world.
Yeah.
And if we claim to balance this story as journalists, then it's really important that we show the other part of the world, which mm-hmm. is actions, which is responses, which is what people are doing to solve those issues.
Yeah.
And that other part of the world can give hope to I am living with HIV/AIDS and I'm hopeless. And the only thing I'm seeing on TV and in the newspaper is more people dying, right. more rates of HIV. And if I never get to hear examples of people who are living positively mm-hmm. and the way they are doing it, then I'll become hopeless. But if I see that, it sends a message to me that someone is dealing with the same issue or challenge that I'm going through, mm-hmm. and they have a way. And I know how they're doing it now because of this story I've read. And I can also, implement it in my own. So, yeah, for me, that's the thought process around it.
You see me snapping my fingers when you mentioned the first.
Snap fingers.
Snap your fingers.
I'll tell you something else so that you can snap your fingers.
What's that?
And this guy is, so I do tell people about solutions journalism. So the founder of solutions journalism said, if the media or journalists have for years been known for reporting news that break hearts, isn't it high time for us to also report about news that mend hearts?
Oh, cute.
Now you gotta snap that.
No, here I'm melting.
So yeah, after that I was like, man, that's actually that's it.
Yeah. Oh, I would have really loved to see their inception of solutions.
I mean, the thing was, he was already speaking to us who are lovers and spreaders of solutions journalism. So either way, it was point driven home, but it just like hit you so hard to reflect, like, and it's even in positive inquiry or positive psychology is that you can't just keep telling someone they are horrible, they are bad, and expect for them to change. And the psychology around traditional journalism had always been, for us to hold people accountable, we need to expose the wrong. And that happened for many years, but things are not changing.
Yeah. It's actually getting worse.
Yeah, and it's here. The more people become hopeless, but even those that you think you're holding accountable become defensive and devise more means to even hate, right? So the idea of showing people what could be done to deal with certain challenges helps to at least to make people aware of possibilities.
I love that part so much, where you are bringing in the part of the solutions now, inception, and also talking about being the different narrative in the media landscape.
Yeah.
I was a news addict. I think that's something I can call myself. At 1 p.m., I'm switching on the TV to see what's happening. 3 p.m.-ish, I think NTV used to have news highlights of what's happening. I'm checking. 7 p.m., I'm seeing which other TV has news at 8. These people might have missed something. That was my life. Bukede. What is it? Gatali Konfufu.
Even that?
Hey. But that damaged me.
Wink, wink.
That one damaged me.
Wink, wink.
Every night, they were talking about a different kind of battery. And that's how you sleep. And the way how you sleep is usually the way how you wake up. So I would find myself in a position where I'm leaving the house and I'm wondering, am I returning? For
There's a whole lot going on out there.
Yeah. Because you're saying this guy stabbed the friend for touching his groundnuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, my friend.
I'm laughing.
No, because when I heard the whole story is that I think this guy used to pick his nose and then he touched this person's groundnuts. And so now, so when I would leave the house, I'm like, now what wrong am I going to do? That is going to affect me terribly and I don't return home.
Even to just put that into perspective,
Yeah.
let's just look at stats, right? When reports come out, they will tell you how many people die because of border accidents.
Right.
And it's of course it's insane how many people die because of border accidents. But the reports never say how many people don't die.
That now goes keeps moving.
Yeah, like, of course it's like we need, but every day, because people just stop using borders.
A friend called me and he was like, I don't know where he found it. I think it's recent. So he called me and was like, I've seen something and I just want to ask you to stop using
the context. And if you don't provide context that come with the stories or that come with statistics, numbers or certain videos, then people just take that as the only context, right? And you have to provide more than just, and we always say like the positive deviant starts where you're like, everyone out of let's say 8 out of 10 students failed mathematics. They recently released exams. And we can say every journalist will go for that because it's bad and it makes news maybe. What journalists won't do is to say the 2 out of 10, what did they do? What did they do that the 8 out of 10 couldn't do, right? And we want to go to those 2 people and say, hey, or those two schools, and say, are there lessons from your school? Out of your community, you're the only school that has had tremendous, consistent, back-to-back success in these subjects.
Yeah.
What is it that you actually do? And that's now the response-driven reporting that helps people to address how they are doing amazing. So it's the same psychology around the way they say your child brings back a report and maybe they have like 80, 90, 60. And of course, as a mother or as a parent, a father, your eyes are going to go to where there is a 60. And you'll be like, you're not doing well here. If you switch that and say, hey, what do you do in this 90, right?
Right.
That you're not doing in the 60.
Right.
And you see a different reception from the child, like, the teacher is good, is interactive, they use videos. Oh yeah, I have books to revise. Oh yeah, there are reasons why. Oh, I have a group with friends. Okay, so why don't you replicate what's happening in the 90 applied to the 60?
Yeah. I'm laughing at the marks because I've remembered my niece. We were looking at my niece's report and I think she had a 12 somewhere. So mom was like, and now you missed this exam. And she was like, no, I didn't miss. And she was like, these are the marks. And she was like, yeah. No,
that's it.
I wanted to, oh my God. I wanted to also be a serious parent. But mom's questions were like, oh my God. And she's like, you can sit for 3 hours and you
get 12.
All of us ended up laughing about it and we're like, you'll improve. Like,
yeah, it's but you see, like in that case, the question is also like, what are those subjects where we have like 90 and not 12? And we could put some good focus to pick lessons from there and apply them. So are you reading more books? Do you have access to a library that has more books about this? Should we give you more books in these subjects as well? Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how mentally tasking is it to be a founder of an organization like this?
It's very lonely. It's very tasking. One is because, first of all, I don't know if there's anyone who wakes up and be like, I want to be the CEO of this thing.
I think some do.
I don't think so. People grow progressively. Now they begin to have this desire of like, okay, now I'm like general manager. Okay, I've spent, now I've acquired experience. I've done this. In most cases, I would say. Startups, though, like us, who just like, pop, I'm here. Gonna change the world.
Present.
Yes. Okay, what's your title? Oh, I'm the CEO, team leader, field marshal.
Field marshal.
General. Those, and you don't know what comes with these titles, right? But it comes with decisions. And man, making decisions is really hard, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be there. Sometimes people come at you and be like, people come with all these sorts of challenges and they just put them on the table with, I can assure you, 100% expectation that you have to solve it, that you will have to be the one to solve it. And sometimes you don't have it. And it's hard for people to just leave your space with like, he couldn't solve it. And I think for me, that's the loneliness. We talk about loneliness on top.
Yeah. Arsenal was lonely at the top for some time.
Arsenal, leave Arsenal alone.
I'm a supporter of Arsenal.
Are you?
I am.
Okay, good. Me too.
We are back on the top.
Are we?
Yeah. Alphabetically.
Okay. We will see. But yes, it's mentally tasking. It's also very draining. It takes a lot of sacrifices that take you away from certain things, certain people. It literally becomes like that's all you have. So in my case, I know for sure that there are certain decisions that I've had to make to ensure that I am present. So sometimes like, you are traveling the world. Like, oh man, amazing. It's so good. But the backdrop to it is you are actually giving away a whole lot of your life to this vision. Is it regrettable? Of course not. But the awareness of the strength and what it takes away from you is really important, because then you can devise means of coping, right? You need a team then that supports, that understands. You need a team that can take away certain highly intellectually tasking work. Then you can just be like, okay, at least that's off my radar. You need friends, family who understand that you took certain decision that's going to be very different, especially people who end up doing entrepreneurship work, and you may be broke for a very long time and people will never know, because they'll be like, you're the CEO of MCI, you should have money. Why are you the border? and it's like, and I'm saying that is because when we don't have very, supporting system in place, we lose those leaders. Reason because they become mentally distressed. They give up on that idea, and maybe they find a job and regret for the rest of their life that they could have succeeded at something. But because they didn't have anyone to be like, I see you, my son, my daughter, you have a dream, go for it, I'll support you. In many ways, I want you to at least give it 5 years or 6 years, like be there. That doesn't really exist a lot here. So you end up like people ask you things that just worsen. So it is tasking. And I say to my team that, guys, I know that I am the leader here, but I really want you to put yourself in my shoes. We do not empathize with leaders. We do not have a culture that says, I wonder what the president goes through. Right? We visited the president and we were there, so you have to wait for a very long time. So the people we are with, high-ranking officers in different corporate organizations, they were like, man, after 3 years, we're just 3 hours, we seated here. They should have told us to come with a book or something. I could be doing some work on my laptop. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Man, this man doesn't respect him. And then there was a guy who just said, guys, let me actually shape for you the day of the president, right? And what time the guy wakes up, what time he goes to bed, and the meetings he has to have each and every 1 hour, 2 hours. So the idea is the guy has to meet the office of the prime minister. He has to meet the ambassadors. He has to meet agriculture. He has to meet power. He has to meet people from the mining sector. He has to meet, people from, all these, the doctors. Like there's a whole lineup of like meetings. But he also has to spend time with family. Does the family ever see the president? Who knows? Maybe never. At the end of the day, we are here and we are not even trying to ask ourselves, but we're very impatient. And finally, the president came and had like his envelope, and he didn't at any point seem like he didn't know what we were talking about. At the backdrop of having like 20 plus meetings about totally different sectors, from the one that we are going to discuss, which is equally a very weird thing at Fourth Industrial Revolution. And the guy was dropping bars after bars after bars, knowledge, wisdom. And I remembered that conversation. I was like, wow, we don't actually empathize with leaders, right? We never say, can you check on your boss? And say, hey, I'm just calling to check on you. You see, like we go like, he's not checkable, right? he's well, like he or she is doing fine. She's the boss, like has all she needs. And, every time there is a huge decision to take in any organization, it has to be that person. We never think about how maybe their colleagues are saying they no longer want to work, they are leaving, and those are the people they've relied on, and now they have to go back on zero. A donor is pulling out, and they are losing like 20% of the funding, 20% of people's salaries. Now this person has to find that money. Where from, the person doesn't know. So yeah, I think that is really important to contextualize, to safeguard leaders. And I say this because I really hope we can get to a level where I think in other countries, people are able to identify certain individuals in their communities and say, there are certain gems that we have that need to be protected. The way we protect certain areas as heritages. I think there is something important to find people in your community to say, those, like the way you have sports superstars and you do as much as you can to make sure they are training, I think it should be done. The same thing, like when you identify leaders when they're young, create an environment that can groom them to sustain that leadership, to be supported, to be appreciated. I really hope that can ever happen one day, but it's something that we need to again, I guess, to design ourselves so that those who come after us are able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you talked about the part of presence, I wondered if you're ever present for yourself.
I try. I love to dance.
Oh,
so
yeah, I've seen.
Once in a while, I will go and dance away the stress. I'll call my granny in the village. Say, hello, how are you?
You know, who is telling her what's current right now?
I know, this is a different one.
It's a different one? Okay.
This one is the sister to the other one. To the one that I used to read for. That one died.
Oh, you sure?
I know, this one is, she's where.com. She's on WhatsApp. She's sending voice notes. She's checking my status. She's commenting. She's saying, who is that girl? The status. I've seen her. I'm like, granny. That's just a workmate. It's like, again.
She's tired.
Hey, you posting only your workmates. I'm like, those are all I have. Just work. Nothing much here. No, but she. So this granny is a sister to my real granny, like the mother of my. And do you call that aunt granny? Granny auntie.
I don't know. I don't know what it's like in Toro, but in Buganda it was still no. Oh my God, that's not existent. That's not existent. They're still. Oh no, the old judges.
Yeah, so this is also another judge anyway. So, but she went. She was a teacher. So she's very. Those old teachers that were trained by old weight missionaries. Yeah, very, speaks very good English, reads, and then she served in the church for some time. So she's on WhatsApp, she texts, she checks on me. Yeah, once in a while we talk just to get me grounded again to like my people. Despite the quote-unquote busy entrepreneurial schedule. Yeah. Never ends.
You've talked about the need or the love that you have when you talk about her as something that grounds you. And I feel like it's important that you also highlight that aspect where it's lonely at the top, but how important is it to create relationships that keep you grounded so that you don't totally lose yourself as someone at the apex of everything?
Yeah. I think every person deserves individuals that just break walls down. That when you're with those people, you're just like,
right. They don't take you serious.
Yeah, like, it's just me.
Yeah.
They know you, they have known you for years. Or they've managed to get you to drop certain walls down so that you can just be you. So I invest in those. If I find or meet people, whether new or old, that give me that feeling, first of all, I give it back.
Yeah.
Vibe back. And then 2 is that I make sure that I keep those. They don't judge you. They don't put you up there on the pedestal of like, yo.
Exactly.
And for me, that starts from like, meet Abaas. Like, he's the CEO of like, meet Abaas. Do you know him? Like, no. Can we just...
The first time you stopped me to talk, I was like, can the ground just open up and I fall through to the ground floor?
Yeah, because I think like that's when we glorify people by their
positions.
Yeah, all the time, like introduction. Yes. I know that it's good for people to know who that person is and what they do. But for me, sometimes it's just like very senseless. Oh, it's just too much. I would say. That I had started to like I don't even know if it's dating, but I like this girl and I was getting to know her, and the introductions she would make to her friends were just the most horrible introductions ever. To just be like, oh, so do you know that Obama has mentioned this? And I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah, you need to know this. And I'm like, so I said to this person, like, hey man, I'm not comfortable.
There's an obsession with your
position, so you keep showing
status.
This obsession. And again, I understand maybe this is really special for them. And I don't want to take that truth away from them, right?
But
at
what
the same
more
time,
is there in you?
Huh?
What more is there in Abaas, you know?
Yes, but I also want them to just give me a chance to just be there.
Yeah.
Right? For people to just be like, okay, hi, how are you? What's your name? Abaas?
Exactly.
Because I feel like the moment people just go throw your titles in, people now change like the way they greet you. So the people who have been like, what's up? Like, hello. Right?
I think you came on day 2 to say, I was the pioneer, one of the pioneer people in the podcasters residence
program.
Yes, please. You
Podcasters
said PIR.
in residence program.
Yes, PIP.
PIP. These are our PIPs. PIR.
So you just pass by and they're like,
PIRP. Okay.
PR pup.
These puppies.
No, there's no you. It's not a you.
These puppies. Okay.
So you came through and you're like, this is the CEO. You're like, hi, what's up? And I think you probably said good luck with everything. And the next time I saw you was probably after 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I was leaving this place in the night. So when I moved to the corridor and you were moving out, I was like, oh dear, no. CEO. Oh my God. Yeah. And then you stopped to talk to me and I was like, why is he talking to me? Oh my God. Why is he talking to me?
Ground swallow me.
I wanted to fall through to the ground floor, but
please don't.
The ground wasn't kind. It didn't open up.
Good for you. Stay there.
But here we are, and I'm very happy that I'm having this conversation with you. For us to close.
Same, it's an honor to be here. Who am I?
I get out.
You people know this show.
Get out.
Excuse me. If you're out there listening, by the way, you need to understand what goes on into producing a podcast like this. A lot of energy, commitment, consistency.
Yeah.
Of like intellectual thought process to be able to identify the people that deserve to be, some of us who deserve to be here. Not all of you. Of course, you're all welcome as listeners. Listen to our crazy ideas. But the whole thing is really to appreciate you for putting in the work, as they like to say here. Putting in the work to deliver this podcast. And don't let anybody take it away from you.
I can't.
Not anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this validation. You just did it live on the podcast.
Dropping it on the podcast.
Yeah, as we leave, what other insights that you would want to leave with entrepreneurs or maybe someone that might have a dream of putting up a media organization?
No, don't start any media organization. It's just us. It will always be us for now and forever. Anyone else trying to start a media organization, please just go start something in agriculture, in, rearing, animals, goats, cows. Like that's your place. Like don't come in the media. No. Bambi.
The goats were taken.
The goats can also be, they also have a place. The media is very open for, it's, as they say, a virgin space for investors, for young innovators. Reason being, the media is central to most of the things that happen. So, because it's a conversation space. So, if you are a dreamer and have thought a lot about coming into the media space, first thing first, there's no money. That's what they say, but there's money for sure. Depending on how you strategize. But the whole thing is, it's one of the least funded areas compared to things like health, education, and others. So you have to be very strategic in how you niche out.
Yeah.
Are you niching out to certain content, certain way of doing stories so that you stand out, or certain platforms that you're creating for others to experience your content? Once you have a niche, it becomes very easy to build a community in that niche. And that community becomes your audience, it becomes your investors, it attracts people who want to invest in that audience to come through you. So for me, any media innovator, think about a niche. And you can niche across processes of, you are innovating a process that can make the work of journalists easy. So can you innovate around gathering news? Can I gather news from across the world without going there?
Yeah.
Video, audio, everything. Can that be an innovation that comes from Uganda? People are innovating around distribution of content. Can we have, a Ugandan built platform that is, distributing podcasts, paying podcasters like Nabuguzi, of course, to do this amazing work. Yeah. So there's just a lot of opportunities that if you think systemically, you can find ways of creating change. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for hosting me, and it's been a pleasure. Keep doing the great work.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the show.
It has ended.
Hey,
Now let me tell you something. If you're waiting for a specific thing that resonated with me, I'm here to tell you that you are supposed to take the whole episode. There are no shortcuts. Okay, I don't know. Perhaps you have something that resonated with you, so do not hesitate to share with us on social media. We'll be ready to interact and further this conversation. So thank you so much for hanging out with us to the very end. If you love this episode, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button in your podcast platform of choice. Also, feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media. We are at #time with Nabuguzi Chwanka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter our handle is at HTNK Podcast, or you can use the hashtag HTNK Session. I look forward to hearing from you in the next episode.